What is up, everybody? Back with another top 10 here today. And as you can see, I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. James McBain from the band HELLRIPPER. James, thanks a lot for coming on here, dude. How you doing?
Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I thought instead of doing the typical interview, maybe James would want to do something fun. So we're going to do top 10 Norwegian bands. I figured he's a fan of this stuff, and he said, yeah. So we're just going to count down our 10. There's a lot to choose from, so very tough to narrow this down, but just going to go back and forth as usual, and James is going to kick us off with his first choice.
Yeah. So yeah, like I mentioned before we started recording, that mine's isn't in order, so don't don't roast me or whatever in the comments saying
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna start off number 10. I'm gonna start off with a fairly obvious one for me, Dark Throne. Yeah, and that's especially based on their the metal punk. Yeah, like the metal punk, heavy metal, post 2006 kind of era. Um, that's the era I listen to most. That's my favorite era of Dark Throne. I think it's got some of their best tracks, like real kind of anthems, sing along type stuff. And yeah, I like the way that they kind of like went in a heavy metal direction, like kind of gradually. They kind of it's I would say it's kind of a cool gradual evolution from 2006. I mean, you start off with the cult is alive, where it's like kind of crust, like really rough crust punk kind of influence stuff, and then it kind of gradually goes more heavy metal, and then into like kind of doom territory with the last couple of albums. Yeah,
Yeah. That's a great choice. Great band. They are really diverse with their sound, starting as death metal, black metal, and all that stuff you said. So
yeah,
good choice. Nice. So mine are going to be in order. I'll have like the 10, 9, 8 showing up. But yeah, James is a random. Mine are in order though. So my number 10, I'm going to start off with Emperor. Another great classic band that was there from the beginning of that second wave black metal scene. I love their first two albums. Those are my favorites. In the Nights Out Eclipse, and that album cover is super dark. You tell what you're going to hear. The mood of the album super dark and awesome, and then Anthems to the Welcome to Dusk really awesome as well. Great musicianship. Isan is a master, but yeah, had to make my list. Number 10, Emperor.
yeah. So yeah, my next one would be Aura Noir. Um, Probably I would say one of the quintessential black thrash bands, maybe one of the first as well, formed in the early 90s, I believe. Although, I mean, you could count bands like Bathory and Venom and that kind of stuff, but I think the actual black thrash, like as a genre, I think could be started from Aura Noir. Yeah, I think they're on hold now, or they disbanded a couple years back. But yeah, just really killer, chaotic black thrash. Of course, a few of the other members of the band have played in different bands over the years. I know Blasphemer is now doing Ultimas with David Vincent, which is cool. But yeah, again, yeah, like I mentioned to you previously, my a lot of my list is going to be focused on kind of the black thrash kind of stuff, and I
Yeah,
think
that's cool.
it's good to start with yeah, Au Noir with the where it started, I guess.
Yeah, that is another really good choice. They just missed my list. Definitely an honorable mention, but great band, as you said. So my number 8, I'm going to go with Bursum. You can say what you want about Varg, but there's no denying. I think those first like 4 Bursum albums are just great classic black metal. Very raw, but the guy could just come up with melodies. Very just put you like in a trance type stuff. Very cool melodies, great guitar work, and everything from the debut up through Philosophem, as I said. Great classic stuff. Jesus Todd, that's just an amazing song to me. So had to make my list. Bursum.
Yeah, yeah, they wouldn't be in mine. I'm not a fan of Bursum at all.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they've grown on me over the years. Like at first, when I tried listening to them, I thought it was like way too raw and whatever. But over the
yeah,
years, it's grown on me a bit. So in my
cool.
top 10 as of now.
So where am I going? I'm going through my list, trying to see what. Here we go. So I'd go for Nocturnal Breed. Again, another killer, yeah, black thrash kind of band. I think they have 6 albums, I think it is. And yeah, kind of, again, chaotic, kind of really raw thrash, kind of, I would say like early Creator type stuff, like the first couple of Creator albums. Kind of Aura Noir,
Mhm.
Disaster, maybe like Bewitched from Sweden. Yeah, they started off like a real fun band as well. Like they've got that element of fun in there, which I always like in this kind of music. And like I said, it started off like kind of really chaotic, raw, extreme, and while keeping that kind of style, their albums have evolved over the years to be a bit more polished, if that's the correct word to use. Still chaotic and raw and all that, but a bit more polished, a bit more melodic as well. In some senses, a bit of rock and roll, black and roll type stuff incorporated in there as well. But yeah, really cool band. One of my favorites.
Sweet. So my number 8, I'm gonna go with Satyricon. So sticking with just like the bigger second wave classic black metal bands there, but really cool stuff. Love their first 3 albums, and then I actually do like some of their more modern stuff as well. Now Diabolical, I think is pretty cool. The Age of Nero, I think is even pretty cool as well. But Frost, I think is maybe like one of the best drummers of all time. I saw him play with 1349, which
Yeah,
that's an honorable mention band for me. But 1349 was just amazing live. His drumming super powerful, but awesome with Satyricon as well. Satyr, the other guy of the band. But yeah, great classic stuff. Love the atmosphere on those first couple of albums. Classic stuff. So Satyricon, number 8 for me.
yeah, like you mentioned there, 1349. They would also be an honourable mention for me as well. They're kind of, well, that's the kind of black metal I like. It's got like a kind of, there's a little bit of thrash in
Mhm.
it as well. Like,
Super aggressive, just heavy
yeah,
as shit. Yeah.
as you'll like notice through my
Mhm.
list, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, carrying on from that, what a band that released an album very recently, Necromantheon. Again, it's going to be a recurring theme. Very, very fast thrash, riffs everywhere, like just extreme riffs, chaotic, old school. Again, Aura Noir, early Sepultura, I guess. They released a new album not too long ago. I can't remember, maybe last month, maybe the month before. I've lost all track of time recently. The Visions of Trismegistos, I think I'm saying that right. But yeah, really good album. It was their first in 9 or 10 years, I believe. Um, they kind of disappeared after releasing an amazing album, Rise Vulcan Spectre. Um, yeah, 9 or 10 years ago, really killer album. Again, much of the same, very fast, very extreme riffs everywhere, like those really like fiddly riffs, like going all up the fretboard and stuff. Yeah, really cool band, and yeah, I would recommend checking out their latest album if you haven't already.
Awesome. Cool. So my number 7 is going to be a band that I think is kind of more on the lines of yours. It's still classic black metal, but very raw, chaotic, heavy stuff. That's going to be a band called Tulis, Tulus. So these guys kind of underrated, not one of the bigger bands in the scene, but a lot of great stuff. First 3 albums up to like the mid 90s to the late 90s, Mysterion and Evil 1999 specifically. Just great heavy riffs, awesome harsh vocals from a guy named Blodstrup. That's what he goes by. Him and pretty much the whole band is also in another band called Cold,
Oh,
Khold. So it's the guys from that band, but this is their first band. Great classic raw stuff. They got 6 albums total now. They did those first 3, broke up for a while, started Cold, then they got back with Tulis. So both those bands are cool, but I do like Tulis better. Again, if you like classic raw, heavy, thrashy black metal, I'd recommend this. So that is my number 7, Tulis.
yeah, I'll check that out. I know Cold. I don't think I've heard of Tulis, but yeah, I'll check that out. That sounds
Cool.
cool. So yeah, this one for me, Black Viper. Um, Pure speed metal, I would say. It's the only way to describe them. They haven't really done much. They've released one demo and one album. I think that's all they've released. But like really cool stuff. The demo kind of got quite a bit of attention, I think, a few years ago, 6 years ago. Really, really raw, fast speed metal. That kind of speed metal where it like kind of borders on thrash. And the vocals are really, really good, really like high pitched stuff and really aggressive. And I think it's one of the guys from another band that I'm gonna mention on my list soon. Don't want to spoil it for now. But yeah, they've got one demo, one album. Like I say, the demo, I believe, is 3 tracks, and it's kind of more focused on the speed metal, the thrash, kind of rough, in your face, kind of straight to the point kind of stuff. And with the album, they incorporated a little bit more like epic parts, if that's the right word to use, which is cool. Kind of adds a little bit to the sound. But yeah, if you like speed metal, I would definitely recommend these guys, Black Viper.
Cool. Sounds good. So my number 6, I'm going to go with Carpathian Forest, another kind of big name in the scene. I remember they were one of the first bands I really started to get into like 4 years ago when I was first getting into black metal. Kind of went from like Dissection and Cradle of Filth to like Carpathian Forest somehow. I don't even know. But their first EP, Through Chasm, Caves, and Titan Woods, I think is really good. Came out in 1995. That specifically I remember listening to a lot. But good, like heavy, raw, chaotic stuff again. I think fans of thrash would probably like Carpathian Forest. But Black Shining Leather, Strange Old Brew, Morbid Fascination of Death, that one's kind of got like a, just again, like really raw, heavy feel to it. Defending the Throne of Evil, that one's kind of got like a symphonic feel almost to it. But I think some bands can do that very well, where they make it sound like creepy and evil with the symphonic elements, where it's not like cheesy, like power metal or whatever. But I think that one does well at that. And Nate Frost, however his name's pronounced, the main guy of the band, got a cool voice. But yeah, Carpathian Forest, always liked them a lot. So they're here at number 6 for me.
Cool. Yeah, for me, I'll go for Condor. Again, black thrash. I mean, I think all these guys are kind of like in the same scene. As if you look into them, many of them are in the same bands. Like, just a really talented like bunch of people, like all in the scene, doing really, really cool stuff. But yeah, Condor. Again, similar to Necromantheon. Riffs everywhere, really fast, just balls to the wall thrash. I think they disbanded a couple years ago, which was a shame. They released an album, Unstoppable Power, in 2017, I think it was, and it was a great album. And I think it got quite a bit of attention, which was cool, but I don't think they played live. I don't think they intended on playing live, and I think they disbanded shortly afterwards, which was a shame. It seemed like they kind of had a bit of momentum going, but unfortunately not. But yeah, really killer band.
Cool. So number 5 now, I'm going to go with Old Man's Child. This band is led by a guy named Galder, who also plays lead guitar for Dimmu Borgir as well, but he's like the main guy of Old Man's Child. And they're another band I mentioned before that some bands can mix in the symphonic stuff and sound really good and heavy still. And I think Old Man's Child is one of the best examples of that. A lot of cool symphonic, elements to it, but still very heavy, just brutal sounding stuff as well. The drumming's awesome. Guitar playing's fantastic. Some standout albums, I would probably go with In Defiance of Existence from 2003 is probably my favorite by them, but Revelation 666, Ill Natured Spiritual, Invasion, really cool as well. Just great band. Old Man's Child, number 5 for me.
Your list is sounding a lot more diverse than mine.
I mean, yours are all really cool picks. Mine are just like the typical classic, like second wave black metal shit.
So yeah, I'll go for, again, killer old school style thrash band Deathhammer. Probably maybe the most well known out of the modern Norwegian old school thrash type stuff. They've released, I think, 4 albums. They've been around for like 15 years or something now. I think they got a bit of attention one of the Dark Throne albums, I think it was Fuck Off and Die, the main character mascot thing on the album cover like has a Death Hammer patch on them, I believe. I may be wrong, but I feel like that's true. But yeah, again, really crazy riffs everywhere. The vocals are as extreme as you get. They go from like your standard kind of aggressive screaming type stuff to really high shrieks, like at the end of words and stuff. Really just adds to the kind of chaos, the kind of it just sounds like unhinged, like everything's going to fall apart at some point. It's like the whole everything's on the edge. Really cool stuff. I would check out the album Evil Power. A song that would demonstrate that, I guess, would be Warriors of Evil. If you listen to like the vocals, just crazy. And again, the guitar style is something that I'm a big fan of. Like the riffs are kind of higher pitched, if you know what I mean. Like they're kind of played on the middle strings of the guitar instead of the like low type thrash. Loads of fiddly like hammer on pull off kind of riffs. Big fan of that kind of stuff. And like their artwork is like, it's like got a really like hand drawn old school charm to it. Their attitude is like really like fuck the posers and proper like old school metal style. Just a real fun band, real extreme, I guess. Yeah, they're extreme.
Awesome.
Yeah, Death Hammer.
Sounds great. Cool. So my number 4, finally, when I've got stuff to show from, it's going to be Take, I think it's how it's pronounced. But cool band that came up in the late 90s, led by a guy named Host. I've got their album right here, Strident's Huss. So love that kind of like creepy, dark, ominous, scary looking album cover. Fits the music very well. I've also got Kong Vinter. It's the 2014 and 2017 albums by them, but great classic sounding stuff. Got that raw Dark Throne feel to it, but a lot more melodic. Just the melodies with this band are fantastic. Love everything from like their 2008 self-titled album. Norwegian Vapen from 2011 is great, and those other two I just showed are probably my favorites, but going back to their stuff from the late 90s, really cool as well. Just a super awesome band, very just creepy, dark feel to their music, great melodies. So Take, my number 4.
Cool. That's a name I've seen like everywhere, but I've never really.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really listened to them or really like. I don't really know much about them. But it's like a name I've seen everywhere.
Oh yeah, so it's that T. It's Taake, means fog. Yeah. It's like fog in Norwegian, I believe.
Yeah.
But pronounced Take. So
yeah,
but cool stuff.
Cool. So I'll go with another black thrash band. You guessed it. In Coulter. They released an EP, I think. I think they're like relatively young guys. And yeah, they released a 3-track EP maybe like 10 years ago or something. And again, it was just crazy, like really talented, really, I guess, kind of somewhat technical. Guitar playing, like, really aggressive black thrash. I mean, all these descriptions, they're kind of blending into one, I guess. But like, yeah, really, they all do have their own unique sounds. Like all the bands I'm saying, it's just, yeah, they all fall within the same style, the same kind of thing. But I would say, especially if you check out their latest album, Fatal Visions, I believe, drawn a blank. It's got cool, like a cool atmospheric production to it that kind of gives it a kind of unique charm. And again, it's kind of this band, along with all the previous bands, they're kind of taking like the early Creator and Destruction kind of sound, and they're kind of adding their own evolved twist on it, which I really like. It's the like I mentioned previously, it's like the unhinged, just chaotic, balls to the wall thrash. In Coulter, really killer band.
Nice. Cool. So my next two I'm going to talk about, I think, are criminally underrated. Should be named with those classic bands like Dark Throne and all that. But first up, for my number three is going to be the band Ancient. I've got their 1999 album right here, but they came up in the early 90s. First album came out in 94, Svartalfheim, and that's got just a really classic, raw black metal feel to it. Amazing riffs, kind of similar to like Dark Throne, but a little bit better production. Still very raw, though. A guy named Grim on the vocals on that first album. After that, it was Zell. He went by Faisal back then, but Zell, he's the main guy of the band. Did guitar, switched the vocals after that, but some other stuff, the Canian Chronicle, really good. And at that point, they kind of shifted to more of like a melodic kind of, I'd say like gothic elements mixed in there, a little bit like Cradle of Filth, like early the 90s Cradle of Filth stuff, which I like a lot. So kind of similar to that. And then Back to the Land of the Dead, their 2016 album's really good as well. But first couple from Ancient, great classic stuff. Love these guys. Always been one of my favorites since I first heard them a couple of years ago. So that is my number three.
Cool. Yeah, again, that's a band I've seen a few times, like in places, but I don't think I've checked them out.
I think based on what all you like, I'd say you probably like their first album the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, yeah. If you've noticed, like the trend in my picks, I go for the kind of thrashy stuff. I'm not very knowledgeable in like the black metal side of things. I like it when black metal's kind of mixed with something. Kind of my favorite kind of thing is when like I guess when a style like thrash has like black metal elements. I think that's my favorite kind of metal. Although there are black metal bands that I like, but that's usually what I tend to gravitate towards. So yeah, I was going to go for Abath's kind of solo thing. I guess it was a kind of solo thing. It was a band, but it's kind of what he's carried on with his self-titled solo project. Again, I could have said Immortal, but I think like I said, it's like heavy metal, epic kind of heavy metal with like black metal elements to it, with Abath's vocals, kind of like the Lemmy, like a black metal kind of Lemmy type thing. There was just the one album under that name, I believe, but from what I've seen, it was like it was very well received.
It's good.
I think people wanted it to kind of carry on when he split from Immortal, but he's kind of doing that, I guess. And yeah, just in general, Abath, his guitar style's very unique, I think, within this style of music, and very influential to me, at least, with his kind of inverted chords that he uses and like arpeggios and stuff. So
Cool. Did you ever hear the Demonaz solo album from 2011?
I think I've heard. I cannot remember. I feel like I've listened to it.
It's called March of the Norse. That's really good as well. It's kind of like an epic. It's like blackened, like Viking metal almost, just like an epic feel. Super cool stuff.
Yeah, I've probably listened to it, but I just cannot remember.
Cool. So as I said before, I think this is another super like criminally underrated band. Not even 100% sure on how the pronunciation is, but it's Gehenna, I think. Gehenna, I've always said, but Gehenna, I've seen people say. Another great classic second wave black metal band. They had a really amazing EP that came out in 1994 called First Spell. It's got that kind of like very dark symphonic elements to it, super creepy sounding. As time went on, they kind of evolved. They had still some of that on the first couple of albums, but got more melodic. And then they went super raw, like heavy black metal on an album, then death metal on an album in 2000. Then they came back with WW in 2005, which is probably my favorite album by them, just classic black metal again. They got Frost to do the drums on that, so just super amazing drumming. But they had a guy named Dolgar and Sanrab as the two main guys, but I think Dolgar left the band about in 2012. So now they've just got Sanrab from the beginning. Cool vocalist and guitarist, but love most of this band's stuff. Always been one of my favorite black metal bands. And they got a lot of stuff, variety within their music, depending on what album you go to. So a little bit of everything with them, but that is my number two, Gehenna.
That's cool. Again, I feel like I've listened to them this time. It's a name that I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
I think I've actually listened to them, but again, I cannot remember. Um, yeah, just one of these bands. It's the same.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff, especially with the internet, to check out.
There is. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go for a couple of honorable mentions before I go for number one. So I'd go for a couple black thrash bands. Shakma, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Toxic Death, death metal with Obliteration, and Yelvik, a really cool band. Kind of heavy metal with a little bit of rock and black and roll, but it's kind of like heavy metal at heart. Just the one album released last year, I believe, but that's really cool. Yeah. Do you have any honorable mentions to?
Yeah, the ones I'd say for honorable mentions before my number one, a lot of the classic bands. Dark Throne, very close for me, didn't quite make it. Shooter, I think, is a really just heavy, just friggin' aggressive band. That's awesome. 1349, as we said. Enslaved, I had Ara Noir written down, Gorgoroth, Ragnarok, Mayhem, but that's pretty much all for my honorable mentions.
Yeah, there was a lot of
There's a lot.
Include. I thought I'd try and maybe include some of the lesser known bands as opposed. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows Dark Throne, but I had to include them. They're one of my all-time favorites. But yeah, like everyone knows like your big band, so I thought, we'll try and include something else. Yeah. So my number one band, I don't know if this is cheating or not, but it's the band Code. It's my favorite black metal band of all time. They have members based from the UK and Norway. I think it's primarily the UK, but I believe they were based. The guys lived in Norway, at least during the first couple of albums, and one of their albums was nominated for a Norwegian Grammy Award. So if it qualifies for that, surely it qualifies for my list here.
And how do you spell their name?
It's Code, Code.
Code, cool.
It's really like the first album is more kind of, I don't want to say standard black metal, but it has more of a black metal sound, really raw kind of sounding. But their best album, I believe, is their second album, Resplendent Grotesque, which is just killer. It's like kind of almost prog kind of black metal. There's less black metal elements. It's kind of more extreme metal at this point, I guess. And there's loads of it's on vocals. It's Kvost from Beast Milk, Grave Pleasures, Hex Vessel, all that kind of stuff. Dolheim's Guard. So there's clean vocals. Kind of sounds like a Morrissey over extreme metal or something. And then there's the more tortured kind of vocals. Really cool stuff. One of my favorite albums of all time. And yeah, they kind of went. Kvost, the singer, left the band, and they kind of went in a more prog direction. They kind of got more. They moved away from the extreme metal, I think, over the years, and then they've just released an album a couple of weeks ago, Fly Blown Prince. And yeah, that they've kind of went back to the original black metal, like the kind of second album kind of sound. Really cool band. I think kind of underrated. I haven't seen, but I think they should get a lot more recognition than they do, or maybe they have, and I just don't know about it. But yeah, my favorite black metal band, if you can call them that, of all time. Really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with them, so I'll have to go into their stuff. But nice pick. So my number one, you can tell by my shirt here, it might be obvious, but Immortal. They were probably my first favorite black metal band. They're still in my top 3 all time for black metal, but just killer stuff. I really love when they kind of evolved into that like black thrash with At the Heart of Winter. Yeah. Really cool stuff from '99, and Sons of Northern Darkness, probably my favorite album by them. one of my favorite like black metal albums of all time. But love all their stuff. Pure Holocaust for my shirt, super classic stuff. Diabolical Full Moon, first album's great. Uh, really just love all of it. But killer band, Horde when he came in on the drums, I think he's awesome. I hate that Abath's not in the band right now, but maybe they'll get worked out later on and he'll get back in there. But he did vocals on all their albums except for their most recent, and then Demonaz did vocals on that one. He's actually pretty good too, but I do prefer Abath on vocals. But yeah, amazing band that most people love that are black metal fans, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome stuff. So that's
one of the bands that don't take themselves like too seriously.
Oh yeah, he always jokes around and whatever, so that's cool.
Am I saying his name wrong? Abath.
He said I've seen him do interviews. He's like Abath. He's like yells it. I don't even know. Abath, Abbott.
I've just been saying Abath.
Abath, yeah, whatever it is. But
you know who I mean. But yeah,
yeah. So
yeah, a band that don't take themselves too seriously. They kind of, yeah, I mean, yeah, really cool band. Really, yeah. And as I mentioned before, like the continuation of I and the solo project.
I saw his solo band a couple of years ago, and it was amazing. So yeah, it's still really good. His 2 solo albums that came out recently are very good as well.
Yeah, I really like the latest one, especially the Outstrider.
Outstrider,
yeah, really cool. The first single that was released, that was a really cool song, I thought. The one where he was running around the forest. Where was he running? Was it a desert or something? I can't remember the video. He's running around somewhere.
Running into his crab walk or whatever he does.
Harvest, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it was a great song.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for coming on, dude. And before we go, what's the update on the new Hellripper album? You can let everybody know.
Yeah, I was recording stuff today. I've written most of it. I've recorded 3 songs, sounding really cool. Yeah, I hope to have it finished in the next couple of months, hopefully for release the first half of 2022, hopefully. We need to see with all the schedules and stuff with the vinyl plant and stuff. I've seen online that like vinyl plants are really backed up right now because there's so many releases and so many bands trying to release things on vinyl. So I've got no idea what that is, but I just plan to finish it and release it as soon as I can, really. So hopefully it'll be finished by September or something, September, October.
Awesome.
Yeah, sounding really cool.
Yeah,
I do so myself.
I
mean, I'm not the best judge. I mean, I like it. Hopefully everyone else likes it. But
everyone who watches my channel knows I love those first 2 albums from you, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. Yeah. So anyone that hasn't heard James's stuff, go listen to Hellripper. Just amazing, just black thrash. As you can tell, that's what he loves. So so thanks again for coming on, and everybody, let us know what you thought. Give us your top 10 in the comments, and until next time, thank you for watching.